everybody. This is William Del Pilar with my co-host Big Bill Ross. I don't know why I call him Big Bill Ross. Just how about Bill Ross? And this is Points on the Board. Before we get going, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to Points on the Board, and like and share this clip as well. We are going to be talking about the Mountain West Conference volleyball tournament, specifically San Jose State. Blaire Fleming, Brooke, is it Sussler? I want to say, Slusser, as well as Melissa Beatty Smoose, the head coach, who is such a coward. And I coined this clip, Swinging Johnsons and Spiking Balls. How Title IX became a volleyball in the gender wars. Yes, I crack myself up at times. Big Bill, let's get into this. First of all, a little bit of background for the audience. We've been covering this at Points on the Board. I don't know, last 2, 3, 4 months, maybe. I think I may have been covering this before we brought Big Bill on as a co-host. But this is a controversy that emerged because of the participation of Mr. Blaire Fleming, a transgender athlete on the San Jose State University women's volleyball team. Now, I think he transitioned, but at the end of the day, as Bill and I have talked about in the past, he or she still has the development of a male muscle structure, the strength of a male muscle. And there are women who have said, hey, I don't want to play against them. I'm scared with those kill shots. Volleyball is a dangerous sport because of the kill shot, which is when a player sets up a team member lobs the ball up with a little hit, and they set up and wham, they jump in with full force. That's why they call it a kill shot. In the past, a woman with a man playing as a woman injured her. She's still suffering from mental issues and physical issues. So what happened with this when Blaire Fleming joined this team and it came out that she was transgender, multiple teams in the Mountain West Conference forfeited matches against San Jose State, including the University of Nevada, Utah State University, and Fresno State University, among others, citing concerns over competitive equity and the safety of female athletes when facing transgender women who were born male. There has been legal and administrative actions here. A lawsuit was initiated by San Jose State University volleyball player and co-captain of the team Blaire Fleming is on, Brooke Slusser, and other female athletes against San Jose State University, the Mountain West Conference, and the NCAA, claiming violations of Title IX and First Amendment rights. Then there's also the issue that we've covered here. Melissa Beatty Smoose, the associate head coach, was suspended after filing a Title IX complaint alleging that the university's policies provided unfair advantages. I got to be honest, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but she's going to collect a big paycheck for, I believe, how this has gone down. The Biden administration's Title IX rule, which we're going to explain here shortly, is currently tied up in the courts. It's a rule that stopped protecting women as Title IX is supposed to do and instead shifted to protect transgenders. Judges have issued temporary injunctions blocking the rule's implementation in 26 states, which makes you wonder why the judge ruled and allowed Blaire Fleming to play. This has created, I'll tell you why. This has created a patchwork of implementation, meaning people don't really know what to do. So the woke is saying, screw the women. Literally, we don't care about you. We're going to let the men play. Now, Bill, your thoughts on everything I've just mentioned. You've been part of this process over the last couple of months and talking about it. What are your thoughts? And I'll help you out there. I threw a lot out there. First of all, what are your thoughts about a transgender individual such as, and I apologize, I said Mr. Blaire Fleming. I've been saying that for the last few podcasts, but technically he has transitioned, so he is a she. So Miss Fleming, what are your thoughts, regardless of a transition, of critics who say, hey, that's still the body of man, the power of man?
Well, of course it is. I mean, she led the league in spikes, right? That's something that I would think would be one of the categories she would lead in, being a man first, with speed, size, and strength, right? And being able to jump higher. I imagine she has a higher vertical than the other girls, so she can get higher above the net, which allows her then to have stronger and more impactful spikes. And she led the league. The girls, anybody who transition shouldn't be playing in women's sports. I've said that before on the show. But my whole point is that you can't get everything. If you want to transition, fine, do it. I don't care. But then you give up the right to play sports unless you want to play with the guys. But you can't play with the women. But you can dress like one if you want.
Alrighty, no argument here, brother. Now, what are your thoughts about these young women? Now, college and pros, every game you choose not to play, this isn't a forever career, and especially in college, part of the college experience. What do you tell the girls who were stood together to forfeit these games, including in the Mountain West tournament, including some of these teams having girls who are seniors? They just forfeited these games. What do you tell them, and how do you look at those women?
Well, that's part of the sad, part of this whole, case, so to speak, right? Because they were doing the right things by forfeiting, I believe, to bring it to the forefront. You create lawsuits. That's how this is going to get resolved, right? Along with the new administration with a different look at the rules in Title IX. But, there's nothing you can say to them. I mean, they've spent their whole lives playing the sport, and then they run into this, which basically takes a season away from them. But, my idea is that the NCAA in Mountain West Conference should give all those girls one more year of academic eligibility to be able to play that extra year like they did during the COVID years. So, girls around the country that have been affected by this and it's altered their last season or a season, I think should get an extra year of playing time because, it's a disgrace when a guy comes in and takes the position that guy takes because he's a guy still, in my opinion. But you have a girl who's training all the time at that school, at San Jose State, per se, right? He took somebody's slot who played that position before, and now she's not playing, and she spent all her time and effort to do this. So to me, it's ridiculous. But they should actually award an extra year eligibility. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, now let's go to the assistant coach, Melissa Beatty Smooze. She's actually the associate head coach. She was suspended after filing her Title IX complaint, alleging that the university's policies provided unfair advantages and safety risks to female athletes by obviously allowing transgender participation. I think that was punishment. I think they went over the top. I think it's an abuse of their power. I think they were trying to cower her to pull back the complaint and in essence to bully her. And that's why I predict she'll get a nice fat settlement out of this because the winds of change are coming. That said, I don't care who you are. She should not, in my opinion, have been suspended. This was a big controversy. The head coach, Mr. Cuck, is what I call him, is still there. What are your thoughts on Melissa Beatty Smooge?
Well, I agree. I mean, it was a scapegoat. They dumped her. They got her out of the picture because they wanted to keep this narrative up and keep pushing forward like they were doing the right thing, right? So anybody who got in the way got the heave ho, out of the picture, so to speak. So I think she's in for a big payday, but I think some of the students, some of the players could be too as well, because in your previous question, that might, overlap to this, that they might be involved in it as well and have some sort of, financial settlement against the school or Mountain West Conference and even the NCAA, which will open up another can of worms across the country, right?
Right. All righty. So obviously this has gotten a lot of public scrutiny, starting with our show. I mean, we have been on top of this issue because we both feel I feel it from this perspective. Sports is special. It does so much to build the individual to understand society and what working hard, the achievement process, but it also brings camaraderie, teamwork. It brings all that into play. And that's why I think it's wrong, because it's kind of like an athlete taking steroids in the Olympics, like Ben Johnson versus I forget who our American guy was, Carl, what was help me out
Lewis.
here?
Carl
Carl
Lewis.
Lewis,
Yeah.
Ben Johnson beat him while he was on roids. Carl Lewis was clean. I view it as something similar. Now, that said, President-elect and former president number 45, Donald Trump, and other Republican figures have advocated for policies that will prevent transgender women from competing in women's sports. And also, big-time people like J.K. Rowling, the creator for Harry Potter, who's a billionaire. Now, there's the other side, but I want to focus, and I'll use this one individual as an example. She's now retired, so she's okay with transgenders playing in female sports, and that's Megan Rapinoe. Do you think Megan Rapinoe would have this same attitude if 5 male players said they were female and decided to play for the USA women's soccer sport? I think Megan Rapinoe would not have. Would her career would have been 1/3 the length had that happened. So, do you think she's being a bit hypocritical now that she's out of the game to support Misters playing as Misses?
Well, I'll say this about her. She probably was in the league or playing for a few years longer than she should have anyway. But because she's on the left and, plays, with other women herself off the field, so to speak, they kept her around longer than they should have. So she was given that grace, so to speak, by the left side. So it doesn't surprise me that she's saying this, right? I mean, this is her alley. This is her side of the fence, so to speak. So I'm not surprised, but I can't believe that she would be too excited if some guy came in and took her spot on the soccer team. And so I do agree. It's hypocritical. She's not even thinking of it from that angle or from any of the other girls' angles too, right? The Title IX in general was to protect women. So it is hypocritical. I'm not surprised that that's the angle she has because she plays victim all the time. So it's, it's nauseating, so to speak. But yeah, not surprised.
I agree.
Very hypocritical.
I agree. And it's not just that. You had the female head coach of the Gamecocks in South Carolina for women's basketball in college. It took her 17 minutes to finally jump on the bandwagon and then ostracize her fellow wokes. And she came out and said, yeah, anybody wants to play sports, they can. I can't wait for a team to play against her, and there's men on those teams. It's going to happen to women's college basketball. It's going to happen in the WNBA. And all these women who support that, you're going to see them change their tune. Now, why are we so upset at this? Well, it all originates with Title IX. And the Biden administration's changes to Title IX, it expanded protections for LGBTQ plus students, specifically transgender individuals. In essence, it took the rights away from the girls, stopped protecting them, said, move along, little whore, move along, little whore. We have our new woman that we want to portray. And that rule redefines sex to include gender identity, allowing transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms matching their gender identity. In other words, a pedophile or just a man who loves to see sick crap can go watch your daughter go piss in the toilet. It also permits transgender athletes to compete in sports teams aligning with their gender identity, aka Ms. Blaire Fleming. And again, I apologize. Technically, she transitioned. I should have said Ms. Former Mr. Fleming. And it does not potentially allow biological males to compete in women's sports. It is allowing biological males. Leah Thomas, Big Bill, he was in that locker room, had not transitioned with his schlong, whoosh, 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 going back and forth purposely in front of women. And one woman, if I'm correct, even said she may have thought he was aroused at one time. And there's a disease for men who like to do that. They get off on dressing as women, acting as women. It's a sexual arousal. And while you're giving your take, I'll look up the word. But the changes expand the definition also of sexual harassment and safeguards and protects transgenders. If it was a man, if it was you or I, Bill, in that female locker room, we'd be thrown in jail for sexual assault or whatever lawful rule there is. This rule extends the protections to pregnant and parenting students. Okay, but critics like us, that these changes come at the expense of women's rights and safety in sports and private spaces. When the Biden administration changes, do you think they're, as I believe, told real women, move along. We don't care about you anymore. All we care about is the transgender movement. What are your thoughts on the Title IX change?
Well, obviously, I have 5 girls, so where I stand on it. A girl's a girl, a boy's a boy. And the Title IX is supposed to protect women on campus. And then what it also did was it gave them the opportunity to play more sports because men's sports the girls and men's had to have a balance, right? So, for instance, when I was at school, they dropped baseball and brought on 2 more women's sports because of Title IX, right? They had to. So, Title IX is very important to women. only. And Biden, by opening up the LGBTQ plus, are there any other digits that go with that? They might have added a letter. I don't know. I'm not up to speed on that, but I'm sure they're going to soon. Confuse the whole issue because they brought that to protect them on campus, but apparently that also did not move over and protect athletes. So that's really confusing, right? So the San Jose is using that new shift in Title IX from Biden and Harris, but it doesn't cover athletics. So it's really made it a mess. So they didn't help the situation either by doing it the way they did it. And of course, now it's in the courts and whatnot, but they basically botched Title IX, and it's almost like Title IX doesn't exist for women.
Exactly. Okay, so I have found it. I had talked about this previously. It's called autogynephilia, and it's defined as a male's propensity to be sexually aroused by the thought of himself as a female. One doctor said that over 90% of men who cross-dress or say they're transsexual suffer from autogynephilia. It comes, as I said, it's sexual arousal that comes from cross-dressing and cross-gender expression. So this defines a certain type of transsexualism. I just view it when that doctor said over 90% of men who believe in this transgender stuff who cross-dress. To me, that's like, Bill, they're going to be using this to get into the female locker rooms, to get into watch one of your five daughters take care of business. And I don't mean to make it sound gross or anything, or to try to embarrass you or anything. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to show how sick these men are in regards to that. Your thoughts on the fact that it is a disease called autogynephilia, and the left, the woke, they refuse to acknowledge it, to talk about it, and it's been there for who knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, whether you want to dress because it does 1, 2, 3, or 4 for you, right? Fine, that's your own personal, opinion, personal desire, so to speak, right? But you can't use it to get into locker rooms. You can't use it to get, on women's teams, and you can't use it to do other devious things. I mean, look, if I was in that case, right, wouldn't you want to pal up and buddy up to all these females and sort of use it to get in there? And then if you're really deviant, you could take advantage of the situation and do all sorts of kind of things. Along those lines. So the fact of the matter that we have people with half a brain that actually think it's okay, I mean, they need to be examined because they might have a problem too. I don't know what we call it, but it's certainly not normal thought. It's not a normal thought process.
It's called votes. They hope to get one whole side to keep them in power. So let's move on here to the Mountain West Conference. A team did forfeit. San Jose State didn't make it. San Jose State University, rather, did make it to the finals against Colorado State University, and they lost. Now, to the audience, see, William, they lost. They lost. It shows men can't win it. That guy helped take him to the championship game. It's still a team sport. You can still game plan around it, but the potential for danger is there. However, the inside story is this is the same team that supposedly colluded with Blaire Fleming, their star player, to try to take Brooks Slusser out of the game. And in the investigation that we had not seen any of the data, any of the process of how it happened, it was quickly done, yet they said it was thorough. So to me, there's so many red flags here. But that said, they went to the championship game and lost. I don't care about the game itself. The fact that they got there is what I care about, because partially because of her. But my heart goes out to the girls in that tournament that chose to forfeit. So let's move on to the post-tournament reflections. I just want to let the audience know that San Jose State University did make it to the finals, but lost. Now, my point to you, Bill, that I want your comment on is Coach Todd the Cuck Kress. That's right, baby. His middle name is Cuck. I feel bad for his wife, not married to a real man. He criticized the forfeits by other teams, focusing on the negative messages received by his team. I'm tired of this, Bill. Hey, we got out of really? They tried to murder a conservative SCOTUS member. They have given death threats to conservatives all the time. They tried to murder and injure severely, life-threatening, to people on the softball field. All the violence comes from the left that actually happens. Yeah, all we hear about is woe is me, these death threats, these death threats. They're wrong. Let's get that added off the table now. It's wrong. They shouldn't be dealing with it. But that's what they always fall back on to play the victim, ignoring the fact that the actual violence is carried out against conservatives. So he claims the season was emotionally challenging. No, the season was a mess because you were a coward. Your thoughts on Coach Todd the Cuck Kress?
Well, first, let me just applaud Boise State for forfeiting the next round after winning in the first round against San Jose State, because that took a lot of balls, so to speak, right, to the topic. So I want to applaud them for doing that. He's not a coach. He's not a leader. He's weak. If he was a real coach, what he would have done is gathered his players around and worried about not just one, but all of them, but explained what they're doing. I mean, if that was his real motive and this was what he really wanted to accomplish, was a transgender on his team, this would have been a much more, a broad conversation with his team and the players. But he's not that. And to attack other teams, deal with your own problems inside and then, worry about everybody else later, right? But there's no excuse for the way he behaved, and the school or the conference. They didn't address this problem, but it starts with him on the court and his players and his girls, right? Because it's clear to me that he gave her or him preferential treatment in front of his other players, right? This is a great example of one person gets all the attention and protection, and the next 17, well, you're not as important, right? But that's not what a coach is supposed to do. A coach is supposed to make everybody a piece of and a part of the team. So I just think he failed miserably and should be stepping down, as well as the AD and maybe even the president of the university.
I agree, and to put a final nail in Bill's great point there, they purposely hid this from the team. In fact, the roommate Brooks Slusser with Blaire Fleming was not told that was a transgender person. So they instead of broadening out, hey guys, we have a transgender. How do you want to do this? We got to make this work. We're still a team. Instead of coming out like that, they tried to hide it. Now I'm not done with the woke side. Nancy Armour, USA Today columnist, a woman who has no kids, claims cisgender women are the real threat. Is her claim. She argues that women refusing to play against teams with transgender athletes are costing their fellow athletes opportunities and sadly their teams. Spoken like a true feminazi. Immediate backlash. And the fact she has no kids shows she doesn't care, doesn't want to understand the situation. She lives in her own little woke bubble. And I saw her. I wonder if she's transitioning herself. And I'm being sarcastic, people. She's not. Just tells you a lot about her. She reminds me of all these women who are pro-abortion. You look at the women. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can see why you're pro-abortion. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I am being mean and vile, but I only respond to those who are mean and vile for no reason. That is Nancy Armour. Your thought on this woman who I don't know if she's transitioning or not, looking at her picture.
Well, I haven't seen her, but I'll be eager to do that. But the point is, if you don't have kids or you don't have girls, you don't. It doesn't mean as much to you, right? You're not invested, so you can make any ridiculous comment you want because it's not coming back to haunt you. It doesn't come into your house, right? So her points are invalid just by the basis she doesn't have kids. And I'd like to know, did she play sports? Because if someone's commenting on this, their comment means a lot more to me if they've participated in sports, especially at the higher level, right? High school and college, and whatnot. And it means more to me, even though I wouldn't agree with it. I would put a little more weight on it only because they've experienced that competition and what it takes to get there. This woman, I guarantee you, hasn't done much on the sports side and doesn't know anything about what it takes to get on the field and play, right? And compete against your like peers. And a man is not a like peer in the women's world. So, that's where I come into play on that. Yeah, I don't think she's done much, fighting.
Yeah. And I'm being sarcastic. She's not transitioning. I just like to be mean to people who are mean to others. If you want to dish it out, you better learn how to take it, Mr. Armour. All right, Bill. What's the future here? The future here is protecting women's sports. There's a debate on transgender that's going to close out with Trump coming into office. So we know that's going to change. But what about Blaire Fleming? What do you know about her? Is she done with college? I mean, the season's over here. What's her status?
Well, I believe that she's still eligible actually at the moment. So, does she portal out and play somewhere else? Does some school or AD or president want her because they believe in her cause? I mean, I don't believe it's over because she actually stood through here and played with San Jose State, right? So why wouldn't she portal somewhere else and go to a school that's welcoming, and the controversy will continue? Maybe something on the government side with Trump prevents that from happening, but I believe she has 1 year of eligibility left. So the story might not be over.
I agree. So the irony in all this, my friends, lies in Title IX, a law meant to ensure gender equality in sports, specifically for biologically born women, is now being used to undermine the very protections for them that it was intended to do. This situation highlights how political ideology is infesting and infecting the real world like cockroaches do a house poorly maintained. And that is how I view what Joe Biden and his regime have done to Title IX, just cockroaches infesting something that was meant to be good. My name is William Del Pilar. This is Points on the Board. And for Bill Ross, thank you for tuning in. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast and this clip. Make sure you share it. Until next time, my friends, we bid you adieu.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.